You read a book last month. You remember liking it. You remember it was powerful. You remember telling someone they should read it. But if I asked you to explain the main argument right now, you would struggle. That is not laziness. That is not low intelligence. Your brain erased most of it. And today, we are going to break down exactly why that happens and how to stop it permanently. But before we go deeper, I want you to do one thing. Stay with me until the sleep section near the end. That is where most people unknowingly destroy everything they studied. And if you value research-based breakdowns instead of generic productivity advice, subscribe. This channel is about understanding how your brain actually works. Now let us confront the uncomfortable truth. Your brain is not designed to remember what you read. It is designed to conserve energy. The hippocampus, the structure responsible for forming new memories, acts like a temporary inbox. Every idea you read passes through it, but it does not automatically move that information into long-term storage. It evaluates it, and it asks one ruthless question. Is this worth the metabolic cost? Your brain consumes a massive amount of energy relative to its size, so it aggressively filters information. If something does not appear relevant, repeated, or emotionally important, it gets tagged for deletion. This is called synaptic pruning. Within 24 to 48 hours, weak neural connections are dismantled. The information fades not because you are incapable, but because your brain is efficient. Now here is where it gets personal. You probably felt like you understood what you read. You nodded while reading. You highlighted. You maybe even underlined powerful sentences. And that is exactly why you forgot it. Recognition feels like mastery. When you recognize a sentence on the page, your brain releases dopamine. It gives you a small reward. You feel intelligent, you feel progress. But recognition is not memory. Recognition only works when the information is in front of you. Memory requires recall without cues. Most people never test recall. They reread. Rereading feels smooth. It feels productive. The words look familiar, so the brain says, "This is easy, we know this." But easy processing is not durable storage. And this is the first loop I want you to think about. If familiarity is not memory, what actually makes something stick? We will answer that in a moment. First, understand why passive reading fails. When you read continuously for long periods without stopping to retrieve, your brain prioritizes comprehension in the moment. It does not prioritize consolidation. It thinks, understand now, delete later. Unless you interrupt that process, deletion wins. The brain strengthens memories when neurons fire together repeatedly under effort. Effort is the signal of importance. That uncomfortable moment when you close the book and try to explain what you just read and your mind goes blank. That discomfort is gold. That is when your brain realizes this matters. Retrieval forces synchronized neural firing between the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. Repeated synchronized firing stabilizes connections. That is long-term potentiation. That is memory architecture forming. Struggle is not inefficiency, it is construction. Now here is the second loop. Why does it feel like you studied hard, but nothing stuck? Because you confuse time spent with neural reinforcement. An hour of passive reading produces less retention than 15 minutes of reading, followed by active recall. That is not motivational advice. That is how plasticity works. Instead of reading a full chapter straight through, read for 10 to 15 minutes. Then close the book. Without looking, write down or say out loud everything you remember. You will notice gaps. Good. Those gaps are where learning actually begins. When you check the book and correct yourself, you are not just reviewing. You are telling your brain this information recurs. Recurring information is metabolically justified. Now let us talk about the forgetting window. Research on memory decay shows that the steepest drop happens in the first 24 to 48 hours. That means if you read something once and never revisit it within 2 days, your brain assumes it was temporary. This is not passive fading. It is active pruning. If you revisit the material just before that drop becomes permanent, you interrupt the deletion cycle. Timing matters more than intensity. This is why reading 10 books quickly and never revisiting them feels impressive but produces shallow retention. Your brain does not reward completion. It rewards recurrence. Now here is the part most people ignore. Sleep. You can do everything right during the day and still lose it overnight. During deep non-REM sleep, especially in the 12 to 16 Hz range called sleep spindles, your brain transfers information from temporary storage into distributed long-term networks. Sleep is not a break from learning, it is the consolidation phase. If you study intensely and then scroll for 2 hours, cut your sleep short, or fragment it with notifications, you disrupt consolidation. The next morning, the pruning process continues. You wake up and think, I guess I just did not understand it. No, your brain did not finish building it. This is why protecting sleep after important reading sessions is critical. Now let me close the second loop. Earlier, I asked what actually makes something stick. Here is the answer. Effortful retrieval, strategic repetition within 48 hours, context variation, and protected sleep. Let us unpack context variation briefly. If you only encounter an idea in one place, your brain builds a narrow neural pathway. Narrow pathways are easy to prune, but if you explain the idea to someone, write about it, apply it to your work, connect it to a personal story, or debate it, you create multiple neural roots. Distributed networks are harder to delete. The brain preserves patterns that appear in multiple contexts, so if you want to remember what you read, do not just consume it, use it. Now pause. If you are realizing that your entire reading strategy has been based on familiarity instead of retrieval, type retention in the comments. That small action increases accountability, and if this breakdown is giving you clarity, subscribe. We are building thinkers here, not highlight collectors. Let us finish strong. Most people believe they forget because they lack discipline or talent. But forgetting is not a character flaw. It is a biological filter. Your brain is constantly asking, is this necessary? If the answer is unclear, it deletes. So your job is not to read more. Your job is to signal importance. Read in short, focused blocks. Force recall immediately. Revisit within 24 hours. Apply the idea in a new context. Protect your sleep. Do that consistently and something shifts. You stop reading for inspiration. You start reading for integration. And here is the final loop. The next time you finish a book and feel proud, ask yourself this one question. Can I explain the core argument without looking? If the answer is no, the work is not done. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who says they read constantly but remember nothing. And implement this for 1 week before judging it. Your brain is not broken. It is selective. Once you learn how to work with that selectivity instead of against it, what you read stops disappearing. It starts becoming part of you.